The weight of the nights was crushing me. I could no longer pretend everything was fine. The next evening, after Ada left to buy ingredients for dinner, I walked to the small beer parlor 2 streets away. Emeka was there as usual, at the plastic table under the dim bulb, a half-empty bottle of Golder in front of him. The place smelled of cigarette smoke and fried plantain. I sat across from him and told him everything in a low voice. My wife always disappears at exactly 2 a.m. every night. Told him the sudden, unnatural sleep that overpowered me every time I tried to stay awake. The way my wife moved like someone summoned, the whispers I had heard. Emeka listened without interrupting. When I finished, he stared at his bottle for a long moment, then looked up. "Kainedu," he said quietly. "This is not sleepwalking. This is not stress from Lagos. Your wife is answering to something at exactly 2 a.m. every night, and something is making sure you don't see it. This sounds like Ogbanje, or worse, a marine covenant. My cousin in the East had a wife like this years ago. We need to see someone who knows these matters." He drained his beer and stood. "Come, Baba Tunde, the herbalist near Ojuelegba. He's the only one I trust for this kind of thing." We rode his bike through the evening traffic, the wind sharp against my face. Baba Tunde's compound was behind a rusty zinc gate. A single lantern burned inside a small room lined with shelves of roots, dried leaves, and small gourds. The air was heavy with incense and something bitter. I repeated the story to the old man. He sat motionless on a low stool, eyes half closed, listening. When I finished, he asked only 2 questions: when exactly the traditional marriage rites were done, and whether my mother had been present when Ada carried the wine. He rose slowly, went to a corner, and returned with a small clay pot sealed with red cloth. Inside was a thick, dark green paste that smelled of alligator pepper and something sharp, like freshly cut neem. "At exactly 1 a.m., he said, "wash your face with this. Rub it well around your eyes and temples. No spirit will be able to force your lids shut. You will see what has been walking with your wife. But hide this pot well. Do not let her near it, and tell no one after tonight." I paid what he asked, wrapped the pot in an old singlet, and tucked it inside my shirt for the ride home. Back in the flat, Ada was already cooking. She smiled when I entered, asked where I had been. I said I went to see Emeka about work. She nodded and turned back to the pot on the stove. I waited until she was in the bathroom later that night. I slipped into the storeroom where we kept old buckets and brooms and hid the pot behind the furthest stack, somewhere she never touched. I lay beside her as usual, eyes closed, breathing even, waiting. The clock moved slowly. At 12:55 a.m., I slipped out of bed without a sound. My bare feet were silent on the tiles. I went to the storeroom, reached behind the buckets, and pulled out the pot. I unwrapped it, lifted the lid. The paste inside had turned to dust-dry, cracked, grayish-black, like ash left in the sun for weeks. No trace of oil, no scent, nothing usable remained. My hands shook. The hope I had carried all evening shattered in that small, dark room. Whatever was behind Ada's disappearances had known. It had reached the hidden pot without anyone touching it. It had destroyed the only thing that could have let me see the truth. I closed the lid, returned the pot to its place, walked back to the bedroom on legs that felt like lead. Ada was still asleep, turned toward the wall. I slid under the sheet, chest tight with disappointment and a new, deeper fear. The clock ticked past 1 a.m. No dizziness came. No heaviness pulled at my eyes. But as the minutes crept closer to 2 a.m., the silence in the room grew heavier. Something was waiting, patient, certain, and tonight, for the first time, it had let me stay fully awake. I did not know whether that was mercy or a warning. The story continues in part 4.